Hello chaps and chapettes, and welcome to this review of a game which I don't have in my possession, but it's up on Kickstarter right now, called Tiki by Nicolas Sato. This Kickstarter is running until the 31st of March 2017, so if the things I say interest you, you might want to check it out. Again, I've got a Kickstarter logo on the screen somewhere, hopefully not on my face. You can just click on that and that will take you to the Kickstarter, and again the Kickstarter link will be in the show notes below. So what is Kiki? Tiki. Kiki was a singer. Tiki is at its core an abstract game set in a kind of Incan theme. Players will be playing chiefs and they'll be placing totems onto villages. You'll have this 3x3 grid of villages, and these villages will have several bonuses. Some of them will have a pineapple, and that's what you need to win the game. You're going to need 4 pineapples to win. So some villages will have 1 pineapple, some villages will have 2 pineapples, but there will be some villages which don't have any pineapples, and there may be some villages which have -1 pineapple. So players will have 2 actions on their turn. They can place a totem onto an empty village. The other action that they can do, if they choose not to do that action, is they can move their totem from one village to an adjacent village. Now this village has to be orthogonal, not diagonal. If it goes onto a village where there is already a totem, it goes on top, which means that that player then has control, because you could place it on top of your own totem, or you could place it on top of your opponent's totem, which means that you have control and you have blocked them from using that piece. If at any time a totem arrives at the height of 3 high, the player's piece who's on top will win the bonus which is in that village. Now, let me give you an example. There may be a case where you have 1 totem and you move it 1 space, but you may have a totem which is too high because you're on top of another piece. That means that you're going to be able to move twice, because what will happen is you will displace onto another village, but when you do, you have to move again, so you'll leave the piece which is on the bottom on that card and then have to move to the next village. I said card, I meant village. Yes. So this may sometimes result in 2 villages having 3 totems at this 3 high totems at the same time, which means that you will resolve these in any order that you wish, and it may give negative points to someone, or it may give positive points to someone, or 0 points to someone. In any case, whatever it does, you remove those totems from the board and that space will be empty, and you give them back to the other players because you need to keep playing with the same pieces, obviously. As I said, these villages give pineapples if the totems are 3 high, and they will give pineapples to the player who has their piece on the top. Whoa, 4 pineapples and it's game over. So what are my impressions about this game? Well, the game plays pretty quick for me. I'm not very deep thinker, so I played a couple of games and they took about 5 minutes each. It was a case of, okay, I'm going to put this piece here, I'm going to put this piece here, I'm going to move there, I'm going to move there. I've lost. That brings me to another thing about the game. This is one of those games that the more you play, the better you get at it, because it has this strategy that you have to discover, because it's not a simple game. It looks simple, it sounds simple, it's a 3x3 grid and you're putting pieces onto it. Sounds like maybe tic-tac-toe, noughts and crosses, but it's not. It's a lot more complex, and to be good at this game, you're going to need to play a lot or be some kind of genius. Which brings me to a slight negative. If you have players playing at different levels, you have a novice and an expert, the expert is going to win every time. That doesn't really detract from the fun and pleasure of playing, but it can do if, you know, you're one of these players that loves to feel like the same level. And to enjoy this game, you're going to need to be the same kind of level as the other player. Now, and that brings me to another point, a slight negative. I've played with the actual pieces, and they're very nice pieces. I've seen them over the year progress from the prototype, from little Fimo pieces to other pieces, and One of the problems that I had while playing is sometimes I would forget whose piece was who, and also I would forget if there was another piece underneath mine, if the piece underneath was the opponent's piece. So sometimes I would be dropping off the opponent's piece in a place where I didn't want to drop off an opponent. Again, these totems are really nice and they're colourful, but they just need a little bit more colour or a completely different face on the side to show that it is a different piece. They are quite distinguishable, but for some reason while playing you may, like myself, forget that you're doing that. So a reference card would be nice to remind you what colour you are, even though you will have some tokens next to you. I don't know, but I'm just thinking out loud here. There is also a rule in the game where you can add a chief, and he will block in between two tiles. There will arrive, I think it's once the player's got 2 pineapples, the other player can then put the chief in between 2 villages, and so players cannot traverse those 2 villages. And then after a while, it will move and it will block other things. It's a nice variant of the game, makes it very interesting. But extras, what are you going to get extra? Wow, who knows what we're going to get extra? Maybe some different terrain cards with special powers that let you teleport or do other things. Maybe we'll see other wonderful things, like maybe a 3 or 4 player expansion, so we can play with more players, because at the moment it is just 2 player. I prefer my games playing as a family. It's a lot more interesting, you know, so everyone can have a go. But who knows? We shall see. The more money that it makes, the more things will be unlocked and the more goodies you'll have. So if this game sounds interesting to you, click on the Kickstarter logo or go to the show notes and pledge your support for this game. Okay, thanks for watching my video. I hope you found it informative and has pointed you in the direction whether this is a game for your collection, because you don't have to own every game out there. You just need to own a few good ones, and hopefully I've pointed you in the right direction whether this is one for you. So ciao for now and play nice with each other, please.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia would be quite nice. Wouldn't it be good? I got some board games.